Rush is in a shotgun. 3 players lined up essentially by the goal line. Rush stepping up, throwing to Kroll, catches the lateral. Here comes Willis. Willis racing to the end zone. Touchdown! Unbelievable! Central Michigan does it!
Awesome play. And with that, we start Cupcake Week, everybody. Welcome in to On the Sidelines with Hagan and Hunter. Seth Hagan right here. Hunter Price to my left.
How we doing? Slow down. We start Cupcake Week?
How we start this, our recap of Cupcake Week. That's how we'll say it. That's how we'll say it.
I got you.
Welcome into the show, everybody. On the Sidelines here with you. And, hey, it was a great, semi-great week. As good as week 1 was, it probably took the shine off of week 2. Just not a whole lot to go with, but still some great finishes like the one you just saw against Central Michigan, even though it shouldn't have counted. And we had an awesome overtime game with Arkansas and TCU. That was awesome as well.
Yep. Arkansas TCU was a great one. We had a barn burner with BYU and Utah.
That's right.
A game I think the entire world forgot about, one of the best rivalries in college football, the Holy War.
Yeah.
No, there was some rivalry. You had Iowa State.
Yep, had that.
BYU, Utah. And then there's another one I'm forgetting about. I'm forgetting about one.
There might be one somewhere in the midst of Cupcake Week. That's where we were we had Virginia Tech, Tennessee. That was a good game for the first half. Tennessee basically took care of business in the second half, shutting Virginia Tech down. Really through the second quarter, through the fourth quarter, they only allowed Virginia Tech to score 10 points after Virginia Tech took the 14-7 lead to start the game. But yeah, that was a good game there for a little bit. Glad the Vols did well and represented the SEC well. It was because, I mean, after the App State game, none of us really knew truly what was going to happen to Tennessee, and so it was good to see them get back up on that horse and take the lead once again.
I think they're still limping. You know, they ended up blowing Virginia Tech out, but Virginia Tech is just not good.
No, they're not.
Highlight of that game was they set a record for the largest attendance ever in a college football game with 156,000 people in attendance.
Yep.
And I hope that's the last time they ever do it. It was cool once.
Right. Like, it was cool. Can we not make this like an every year thing? Because I think some of the people who watched that game are just now getting home. Like, I mean, can you imagine 150, 60 some odd thousand people trying to get out of a place at the same time?
Have you been at Dega?
Exactly. Have you been to Dega? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Exactly. But thanks for throwing up that phone line, Richard. We got Paul Finebaum coming up in the second segment of today's show, so make sure y'all stick around for that. After that, get your calls in at 888-242-8517. That is the number to call if you want to get in here live with us in the studio. We are live across the state in Alabama, and we're happy to bring you all this week's action. We're going to talk about Alabama, Auburn, of course. Arkansas had a good game. Tennessee. The SEC had a nice little bounce back after week 1, which was just, I don't know, it was very up and down. Very up and down. A lot of teams
I think
lost.
it was a lot about, I think week 1 was a lot of what we expected.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, the teams that we expected to win won.
Right. The ACC didn't get their sweep like they wanted to.
They didn't get their sweep. But
even though North Carolina probably looked, I mean, they're probably mad as a hornet right now.
I mean, yeah, the teams we thought we would win won, and then there was teams that we knew weren't going to win. I mean, I thought Auburn would beat Clemson. I liked the matchup. They should have.
They should have.
Clemson beat Auburn, which everybody picked. Florida State beat Ole Miss, which everybody picked.
Right.
Who else are we losing here?
I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. Week 1's over. Week 2 is over.
Week 2 is over. So
we
move
had
on to 3 and really getting the SEC schedule underway. I mean, we got some great matchups next week. We'll talk about those with Paul Finebaum and in the second half of the show. But let's take a look at what happened this week. In the top 5, things stayed relatively similar. Alabama took out Western Kentucky very easily. That was part of our promotion this week. We got, as you guys can see, these Hummer helmets on our table here. We've been giving away one every week, and we'll continue to give away one every week for the entire college football season. Make sure you stay tuned to this show and to On the Sidelines on the Facebook page so you can find out how to win you one. Get one of these things hovering in your living room. But Alabama took out Western Kentucky. Struggles continued with the run game, but that defense is still as good as ever. A lot of people thought that Western Kentucky would score at least a couple of touchdowns, if not 3. Didn't really work out that way. But Nick Saban still found a way to get mad. And so and while we're talking about this, let's take a look at some of the Alabama highlights against Western Kentucky. There were several, and a couple of great catches. I tell you what, man, that number 3 for Alabama, he is unreal. I mean, he just made an insane catch. So we'll see here in a little bit. But I love that guy. That guy.
You were at the Alabama game. I was at the Auburn game. What were your thoughts? I mean,
like I said, the running game really came up short. Bo Scarborough still hasn't topped even 30 yards in a game still, and he came into the season with so much hype, being a big guy like he is. I did like B.J. Emmons, though. He is a guy, a really nice change of pace back, in the same vein as Kenyon Drake, I would think. Check out this catch right here. Calvin. I mean, good night. I mean, that ball was going the wrong way. He was going the right way. He turned around and made that thing work. Calvin Ridley, 9 receptions for 129 yards, 15 a catch right there. He was straight up nasty. Ardarius Stewart also did a great job. Garrett Dieter probably should have had about 100 yards receiving if he hadn't dropped several easy catches, including a touchdown. But Alabama, at the end of the day, we all know that they're not going to be that good at home in the first half. They just like to feel things out and try to work it out. Eddie Jackson had a nice pick-6 touchdown as well. So, yeah, it's not like you should panic. You certainly shouldn't panic. Let's wait till next week after Alabama loses to Ole Miss for a 3rd straight week. Just kidding. That's not my prediction whatsoever. I really think that after these last couple of years, I think Alabama is going to be super focused. And I think they'll win that game by a couple of touchdowns. I really see it looking almost like a carbon copy of their game with Florida State a couple weeks ago.
I'm picking Alabama to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Well, we both know that those teams are still figuring out their identity in the run game. So
Alabama's struggling with the run a little bit, and what Ole Miss has going for them, to beat Alabama, you have to truly believe you can beat Alabama, just like you.
Yeah, you got to know that you're on the same level.
Ole Miss does that.
Yeah.
They truly believe, and I think that's going to keep them in the game. They have some skill position. They have some talent out there. Chad Kelly, he'll get some of his, but it's going to come down. Can the Ole Miss offensive line block Alabama's defensive line? No.
And can they get in Jalen Hurts' head?
That's going to be the tricky one because
the first SEC road game, it's tough for every true freshman.
Alabama's offensive line and running game has been struggling.
Yeah.
A little bit. And
a lot of false starts in that game against Western Kentucky.
There's a lot of new pieces on offense.
Yeah.
Those things happen. I think they'll get cleaned up as the season goes on, but those things happen. And if that running game is not where it needs to be, I'm Ole Miss. I'm cluttering up the defensive backfield, and I'm throwing all kinds of different coverages at Hurst because he's still a freshman and he's struggling. You can see it. He's making good throws. He has the time.
He has the time, though, exactly.
Pass protection seems fine. Mm-hmm. But he's still having to read the defense longer than he needs to. And I think that might come back to hurt him against Ole Miss if Ole Miss can really throw some confusing things.
Yeah, because Ole Miss was really getting to DeAndre Francois in that first half against Florida State. So you know that they've got the guys to do it. The question is the depth still there after the NFL just completely torched their entire defense, and not to mention a couple of very costly injuries for Ole Miss in that game against Florida State. Leaves a lot of green grass type defensive backs back there against probably the best wide receiver core in the SEC in Alabama. I mean, that to me, I think will be the difference. But if they can get in Jalen Hurts' head, this will be a game to watch. So I'm sure everybody will be tuning in. Of course, Auburn, Texas A&M, another big game that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. on in the program. Auburn did a good job against Arkansas State. The offense looked, night and day, of course, from Clemson because Arkansas State is
You're not kidding.
Totally good, but stuck with Sean White, like we were saying last week, and things worked very well. And, of course, the one guy that was missing from the whole equation, Cameron Petway, got about 15 carries.
Where did Cameron Petway
Exactly.
If this offense and this offensive game plan would have been put in place for Clemson, Auburn beats Clemson by a touchdown or two.
Yeah.
And I've said it all along, and I said it last year, Sean White's the guy. He is an SEC quarterback, and he can make Auburn a great football team if you just let him do his thing.
Yeah. Just give him the keys.
People say, oh, he's not a running quarterback. He's not that bad of a running quarterback. He had, what was it, 10 rushes for 60 yards? He runs a 4.6 40.
Yeah.
He had 17 of 23 for 244 yards and 3 TDs. You give him time, he's the most accurate passer in the SEC, in my opinion. I'm not backing down from that. But the Auburn, what I saw was the offensive line dictated the offense. And that's something that has been missing in the Auburn offense the past 2 years. In 2015 and the start of this year. And towards the end of 2014, really, is when Gus is successful, he's calling his plays based off his offensive line, and his offensive line dictating tempo, dictating what happens, and he's running those offensive plays off of it. And I think these past couple of years, that has been the exact opposite of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. He's almost like he's overthinking it.
Oh, he is overthinking.
Yeah.
He is overthinking. I will go ahead and call off my fire Gus Malzahn.
I felt like that was a little bit much, but I can understand it. I mean, it was awful. It was awful. Week one, that was awful.
What I was getting at last week is that game plan was fireable. I mean, he should have been fired after that game. That was an absolutely horrible game plan. I mean, it was an absolute joke.
You let them off easy to me. Not even using Petway, who's a bowling ball of a guy.
You don't try. I think that's part of Gus Malzahn's problem. In big games, he tries to outthink himself and come up with ways to catch him off guard instead of just doing what he does. He said it in Florida State.
Yeah, just letting it roll, baby.
Yeah, just go out there, kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Plain and simple.
Come in with the game plan that you decided to execute, and don't try to change it up. Don't try to change it up. So Auburn gets the easy win, 51-14.
Get the easy win.
A very good night on offense, over 700 yards, second most in Gus Malzahn's tenure at Auburn. So it was really going. Auburn actually went from last in the SEC, almost second to last, to first in the SEC in rushing in one fell swoop. Yeah. So that lets you know things were going well.
In 1 week, they went from 13th to first in the SEC. They had 706 total yards of offense, not just in the Gus Malzahn era, but only the second time in Auburn's history.
In Auburn history, period.
Yes,
wow.
To go over 700 yards. The last time was in 2013.
Wow, that'll let you know something.
Auburn had two. Cameron Petway went for over 100, as well as Kerryon Johnson. So they had two backs go for the century mark as sophomores. And the last time that happened was Bo Jackson. And gosh, who was the other guy?
I don't know.
I don't
know, but it looks like we've got a call.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
We'll go to commercial break. We'll be back with you in just a second.
Hello? Y'all stick around.
Easy to do business.
This is Tyler Herron at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, and GMC. Did you see behind me? I got one of our Z71 Chevrolet Silverados. We have many like it. This is actually a Tuscany truck. It has a lift kit and the aftermarket wheels and tires. We are a Tuscany dealer. Come down and see us in Jasper, Alabama, and Carl Cannon Boulevard off exit 65, or you can give us a call at 205-384-5561.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than other colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks where everything on our trucks work and the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to On the Sidelines with Hagan and Hunter. I'm Seth Hagan, Hunter Price to my left. And tonight we've got a very special guest for you guys, a man who really needs no introduction whatsoever as long as you've been around here in the Southeastern Conference. And fans, you'll recognize this man very quickly. We got Paul Finebaum on the show tonight. We're going to go over week 2 and maybe preview some SEC matchups for week 3. Paul, really appreciate the time tonight, man.
Seth Hunter, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be on, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. You spend the entire off season trying to figure out what's going to happen in the college football season, and it really does get turned upside down. Particularly when you consider the trouble that LSU is having, and you look around, and we spent our show today talking about Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, which really has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But it's just a takeaway from college football nowadays. We end up getting hung up on one or two subjects versus what we're supposed to be doing, and that's talking about what actually happens on the field.
Most certainly. And talking about off the field, what's your takeaway on the Central Michigan game and how the refs really just blew it?
Yeah, I mean, not only did the refs blow it, to me, I don't understand why someone on the Oklahoma State sideline did not pick up on what is going on. Exactly. I realize the head coach has way too much going on, but, I mean, for people like us, I mean, we might not know what that rule is, or for people at home, but you have to have someone there keeping track of everything, I mean, I know the SEC has a command center which is watching all these games, and they're in direct communication. And I don't know why the Big 12 didn't, but you had MAC refs, and I know they got suspended, and you can blame them, but it should have really never come to that. That's my point. And you can't overturn a game 2 days later, but there has to be a mechanism in college football where, like we saw with Duke and Miami last year, or in other games, that if it's a mistake, you just have to stop it. I mean, you can't let it go on. So that's unfortunate. I don't think it's really going to make a lot of difference. Oklahoma State, to me, didn't look very good, but it does hurt the Big 12 quite a bit.
No, it most certainly does. And I mean, I'm sitting there, and yeah, the refs blew it, and it shouldn't have been played. But at the same time, what's Mike Gundy doing making that type of play call?
I mean, that's why you have all these $1 million salaries. There's got to be somebody there on the sideline with a rule book and being like, hey, they shouldn't even be able to play this play. I mean, there's just way too much money going on out there for somebody not to know.
By the way, I mean, you guys have been on the sidelines. There's a million people there that have nothing to do. I mean, on the sideline,
very
they
true.
keep track with the officials at all times.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. And being on the sideline, Seth was in Alabama. What were your thoughts on Alabama, and can they get this running game going?
Yeah, I mean, had it not been for the fumble and the subsequent touchdown, what would Alabama have won the game by? 35 points. So, I agree with you. I mean, we judge Alabama when you're in Alabama by a totally different standard, and yeah, I think it was pretty sloppy, but it was also predictable. Alabama was coming off of a 46-point win. It was a sandwich game before Ole Miss, and that's why you saw Saban do what he did, whether you liked it or not, and I've heard varying opinions from throughout the country. But I think they will get in gear. I'm not overly concerned yet about Alabama. There are a lot of mistakes that are being made. Did Saban over-dramatize it? Well, of course. I mean, he's Nick Saban. You know, he's not going to. I mean, even if Alabama had won 38-3, he still wouldn't have been happy because he's got Ole Miss next week.
Yep. Yeah, and trying to avoid a third straight loss. Now, Ole Miss on the road, that's just the beginning of their road troubles. I mean, they've got to go to LSU. They've got to go to a couple of other teams, big games here in the SEC.
I mean, listen, they got to go to Arkansas. And
yeah.
I mean, I think this is a dangerous game. I think Ole Miss is a little hard to figure out. I mean, if you'd interviewed me at halftime a week ago, I would have said Alabama's in big trouble because Ole Miss looked like the best team in the country. But Ole Miss has problems on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the back end. Chad Kelly is great, but he makes mistakes. I do think the atmosphere there will be frenzied, but I think Alabama is ready for it. I mean, this is a double revenge game. Why did Alabama lose last year? Because they made 5 turnovers. Because from the opening kickoff, they just were not focused. They will be focused this week.
Yeah, I was there last year too, and it was one of the most frenetic games I've ever seen in my life. You mentioned the Ole Miss-Florida State game. I think there will be a lot of similarities. How much do you think the Ole Miss-Alabama game will, in fact, resemble the Ole Miss-Florida State game from last week?
Quite a bit, other than I don't think Ole Miss will be way up at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a game that I think is dangerous, but I also think Alabama should win the game. And, 2 years ago, Alabama, I didn't see it. I was warned by people, but Alabama walked into a very difficult circumstance. Ole Miss was on fire. I mean, I think this Ole Miss team is a little bit in transition right now. I've never believed they were on the Alabama and LSU level, or Tennessee. Of course, I don't know where LSU is, but right now I think Alabama has not played that great at times, particularly early on, but this is a really good team with a lot of dimensions, and I think Jalen Hurts gives them that. And some will say, well, how will he handle the road in the SEC? Well, I think he'll handle it the same way he handled the road in Dallas and being at home. I don't think freshman quarterbacks nowadays really care. They're a different breed than when I grew up and really 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. You freshman quarterbacks, I mean, they get so much exposure in high school that it doesn't really. By the time they get to college, they've already kind of been there.
Yeah, at this point, it's the Tebow effect. Guys are playing right out the gate now.
Not only do they play, in front of big crowds in high school on national television, they play at these Elite 11 camps. I mean, the competition is just so different. I think all young athletes are at a different level. Now, still, you make mistakes. I mean, look at Jacob Eason. At times Saturday he looked great. At times he didn't look like he knew what he was doing. Because there is a learning curve. Now, you shouldn't struggle against Nicholls State. I frankly think the three of us could pick sides on our neighborhood street and probably beat them. They're one of the worst teams in college. They're one of the worst programs in college football. But they made mistakes and they weren't focused. And I was in Starkville last weekend. I was talking to some students about the South Alabama game. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, we were up at halftime by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and most of us left. I mean, it was 95 degrees out there, and that's a problem this time of the year. You get early games, which Georgia had. The students really don't care. I mean, I did a show Saturday. The last 2 Fridays, I did a show in Texas when the temperature was 96. I did a show on Friday from Starkville when it was 95. Now, again, I'm dressed in a long sleeve shirt and a tie. And I'm melting out there, and again, I don't have pads on and a helmet. So I mean, it's just this time of the year you really do see strange things happen.
You really do. It kind of reminds me of March Madness a little bit, just with all the upsets you see, and you got to love it. Looking at Auburn, Paul, I was on board, and telling everybody it's time for Gus Malzahn to go after that Clemson game. I thought that offensive, I thought that game plan was so bad it was a fireable offense. Like it was that bad of a game plan.
Hey, I mean, now you're starting to sound like Paul Finebaum. Calm down.
You should have seen what I said last week. He's turned it. It seemed like he turned it around against Arkansas State. I want to see some consistency there first against some SEC teams. Do you think he maybe figured it out though, or?
I don't want to hit the hyperbole meter, but I think these next 2 weeks are perhaps the most important in Gus Malzahn's career because. Yeah, he has an opportunity, and the opportunity is that LSU is a wreck. I mean, I really don't know where to go on LSU, so let's save that for a second. But A&M is coming in here with a little bit of confidence. This is a game I thought Auburn probably should win. I think they should win this game, but if they don't, then suddenly the LSU game becomes must-win because Gus Malzahn cannot lose 3 games in September. Before he really even gets to the SEC schedule, and by that I mean the obvious. I mean at Ole Miss, at Georgia, at Alabama, and I mean whether his job's on the line or not is going to be determined by now. I mean if he could possibly win these 2 games, then Auburn does have a chance to have a great season. And everyone talks about the defense. It was the offense that impressed me, and particularly Shaun White. But let's remember, it was Arkansas State.
Exactly. Yeah. It was Arkansas State, and they were able to put up 706 yards total offense. Ran the ball great. I think it was over 400 yards rushing, 240 passing. What I really noticed was it seemed like it was the first time since probably middle of 2014 that the offense seemed that everybody knew what they were doing. It had an identity. It seemed like everybody knew their roles in the offense for the first time in like 2 years.
Well, I mean, sometimes the opposition does help you do that. Listen, Texas A&M has some major big-time athletes on defense. I don't need to tell you their names. I mean, they're all Americans. So this is a big opportunity, but I just don't know. I mean, Auburn, to me, listen. You have to play it week by week, and I'm not about to tell somebody, well, don't be happy with the win. It was impressive. But like I said a minute ago, I mean, these 2 games are going to reveal a lot about Gus Malzahn.
I agree, and I got to say, looking at him in his career, he might be one of the best and at the same time one of the worst coaches I've seen.
I talked to a coach the other day and after Clemson, and he said, I think a lot of coaches have figured him out. Well, it's easy to figure someone out when you have inconsistent play at quarterback. And that's the problem. Gus Malzahn looked great with Cam Newton. He looked great with Nick Marshall. He's looked pretty average with Shaun White and Jeremy Johnson and John Franklin III. It also shows you how little we know since I, like you, and most people were convinced John Franklin III was going to be the answer this year. To what question, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough for John Franklin. He's still kind of learning the offense. I mean, just a ton of talent. You can see the blinding speed he has, but then he goes and does something like fumbles on the very next play, and it's clear that Gus just can't trust him right now. But me personally, I'm having trust issues with Tennessee, Paul. They scared me that first week, really came back and had a strong showing against Virginia Tech, but I mean, Virginia Tech was in a game with Liberty University in the first half on week 1, so assuming that they do get this next win against Miami of Ohio, who, by the way, gave App State all they could handle last year in their bowl game, how do you feel about the Florida-Tennessee game in 2 weeks? I mean, it's definitely the biggest game in Butch Jones's career.
It is. I stood on the sidelines a week ago Thursday night in Neyland, and I mean, I'm watching App State blow Tennessee up, and I didn't see much different in the first half. I mean, Virginia Tech is an average team. I mean, they'll be lucky to win 6 or 7 games. I do like the fact Tennessee is coming from behind. Last year they were blowing 17-point leads and 13-point leads. It's going to come down to Florida. Right now, I think Florida is the trendy team. They beat Kentucky, which, I mean, I don't even know where to go on Mark Stoops. I've tried to say nice things about him because I like him and I believe that he could get to a bowl game this year. But no one believes that right now, and that may be a lost cause in Kentucky. But
can they fire Mark
Tennessee
Stoops?
better figure something out between now and September 24th, because that is going to be the biggest game in Butch Jones's career. Because if he can't beat Florida, where does he go? There's nowhere to go. I can't even imagine that. So that's a long time from now. It's 12 days, but that is going to be one of those games that the SEC, that you circle on the SEC calendar. And Florida is, what does Florida have that other teams don't have? They have a great coach. I really believe Jim McElwain has emerged as maybe the most serious threat to Nick Saban in this league.
I agree. You mentioned Mark Stoops for a second. Does Kentucky have the money to fire him with that $12 million buyout?
Well, I don't know. Sure, they could find it. It's just a matter of whether they will. Sometimes, though, if this season blows up, you're in a situation where you have no choice. I don't know if they are there yet. What's really surprising is in traveling around the SEC, Kentucky has everything going. I toured their facilities last year when I was in Lexington. They're top notch. This school has a football facility. It has an addition to the stadium. You can't complain that they're behind the times. That they are not, and they've recruited fairly well. But if they can't turn this around, and I don't know anyone right now who thinks they can, then I don't know if it's a matter of the buyout or not. But if they don't pay him off, then you might as well just write the program off.
All right. And that's why I was thinking to myself, like, they can't keep him around again if he doesn't go to a bowl game.
Not unless he makes a run at the end of the season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That shows that the program has turned the corner. But when you go into, I was down in Gainesville 2 years ago for the Florida game, the Kentucky game when they went to overtime. They should have won the game. It was a terrible call that probably helped enable the Gators. That's just humiliating. You cannot lose 45-7 and think you're going to maintain a program. And by the way, Kentucky, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but it's not easy. I don't see that many wins left for them if they can't if they can't turn this thing around quickly.
Yeah, Mark Stoops is supposed to be a defensive guy.
One game they should have won. Florida, I didn't have them winning that game, but come on.
Yeah, Stoops is supposed to be a defensive guy, yet you give up 40 to Southern Miss and then 40 to Florida right after that. It's pretty crazy. So who do you think gets fired first? We're just playing hypotheticals here. Mark Stoops or Les Miles? Who gets the axe first?
Well, right now, I think it's a close call. I don't think we know yet. There's still a couple of coaches out there. If you started the season, who was on the hot seat? It was really Les Miles. It was Gus Malzahn and Kevin Sumlin. That's why Saturday in Auburn is so important.
Mm-hmm. True.
Sumlin's not clear. It was a big win over UCLA, but the schedule is still in front of him. Malzahn, I don't think is out of the woods yet either. But Les Miles right now, there's almost no one left who believes he's going to make it. I stood with him last week saying it can't be as bad as it looks. Clearly, I was wrong. It looks about that bad right now. When Danny Etlin is your starting quarterback, I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Purdue, a transfer from Purdue, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
he was a good quarterback out of college, out of high school. He made a bad decision, but. Yeah, I'm still. LSU right now after 2 weeks is mirroring Auburn last year.
Yeah.
Good quarterback coming in, Jeremy Johnson didn't pan out. Suddenly the coach is on the hot seat. Everything seems to go. And last year, if you remember, it was the LSU game on this weekend that pretty much told the story of Gus Malzahn, and it will be fascinating to see if next weekend it's the same for Les Miles.
Well, before we let you go, Mr. Finebaum, just had to ask, Auburn finally got to roll their tumors trees this year since old Harvey came along. Which I was sitting in the Touchdowns Grill kitchen cooking chicken fingers, listening when Harvey Updike called in, and
wow.
my heart sank. What's Harvey up to these days?
You know, I sadly or fortunately, I've lost track of Harvey Updike. And you know, everyone is known for something, and I'm pretty sure whenever I die, when you write the obit for my career, Harvey Updike will be mentioned in the first paragraph because it is the most famous call in talk radio history.
Yeah.
And you know, I still can't believe when he called, I didn't take him seriously. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I went to see him in jail right before he got out. It was one of the most surreal things I have ever done in my life, sitting there with this guy, and he was still not remorseful at all.
Oh, no.
He was
too much Bama in him.
Yeah, I mean, he was bragging to me about how many autographs he signed. So
I gotta love the SEC.
We did talk for a while. We were in communication, but I mean, he's still pretty active on Twitter for a guy that has gone to jail for doing really something that is unforgivable.
Well, I'll never forgive him for that, or me burning those chicken fingers.
Exactly.
Well, Mr. Finebaum, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get you on again sometime soon.
Hey, thank you. It's my pleasure, and really, Hunter enjoyed meeting you at Media Days. And Seth, good luck to you, and hope you'll have me back.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Most certainly. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, everybody. That was the man, Paul Finebaum. You can catch him on the SEC Network, of course, with the Paul Finebaum Show, 2 to 6 p.m. Central Time. Yeah. So, second half of the show coming up. Everybody took a little bit of extra time. Hey, it's Paul Finebaum. We gotta milk that a little bit. So when we come back, your calls at 1-888-242-8517, and we get to all of Week 3's matchups. SEC schedule coming up. You don't want to miss out.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Here at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, we offer a wide variety of vehicles. Trucks is one of our main things that we have here. We offer them that can be dinghy-towed, flat-towed, and we also have vehicles that can tow between 3,500 pounds all the way to 17,500 pounds. So if you need a vehicle that can just take you to church on Sundays or pull the load on Mondays, we've got them all right here for you at Carl Cannon. Been here for 50 years. Come see us in Jasper.
Other dealers can't, Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
From Mobile to Florence, from Auburn to Tuscaloosa, for all your commercial or private paving needs is Alabama's premier surfacing company. 20 years experience has the equipment and personnel to handle any job anywhere in the state of Alabama. Call 205-648-3117.
Hey everybody, welcome back to On the Sidelines. Seth Hagen right here, Hunter Price to my left. And we are here for the second half of the program, just going in over the Week 3 games that are coming up. I just got done talking about the Cupcake Week with Mr. Paul Finebaum of the SEC Network. Really appreciate his time. And we're just going to go over the rankings here in a little bit, just to kind of get you ready, just to prime you for the Week 3 slate, because hey, the SEC schedule starts in earnest, and I mean we cannot wait. Also want to throw some attention to these spherical domes that are twirling around as such, and they are awesome. And make sure you stay tuned to this show and to On the Sidelines Facebook page to find out how you could win on for your own. For your office, for your
by the way,
bathroom, wherever you want to put that thing.
Congrats to Wesley Dean.
Yeah, got our winners.
And
Jeffrey Purvis.
We actually had a tie this weekend. We had a little bit of predicament.
Yeah, it was tough, but I mean, these guys made great calls.
They
made
did.
Great picks.
Wesley, he nailed the Alabama score, 38-10.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Now he was off by 27 points on the Auburn game. But it's kind of like, how do you not give the guy the win because he nailed the Alabama score?
Right.
And then you got Jeffrey over here, who was only off by a total of 17 points with both games combined. He was only off on the Alabama score by Only off on the Auburn score by 5 and the Alabama score by 7.
I mean, just really, really tight windows to fit those in. So that was very impressive. So shout out to those guys and congratulations. We'll be getting you your helmets post haste.
Addresses will be sent tomorrow. They will be in the mail. They will be received from Hover Helmets.
Yep.
The helmet of their choice of anything in stock.
Yeah, so stick around and find out how you guys can win y'all's next week because it's going to be fun. All right, let's take a look at the rankings of college football. Michigan moved up into the top 4. Clemson actually got pushed out because they have had just 2 really iffy weeks in a row. Of course, playing in Auburn is no joke. On the SEC road game, week 1, that's tough. But then you take Auburn's in-state, I can't say rival, but they are a fellow in-state school, and the Troy Trojans also played within just a touchdown of supposedly the second-best team in the country. And it just seems like that offense is not moving as well as it should be. I'm sure that Troy took a lot of things from Auburn's tape to try to slow down that attack. But at the end of the day, giving up 24 to Troy, that's a problem. And that's why they were moved out. I have to say I agree because Michigan looks like they look like somebody that could thrash someone at any given moment.
I mean,
such a strong team.
They do, and for Clemson, I mean, they're out of whack. They're not focused. Deshaun's trying to do too much, and they're not trusting their playmakers on the outside.
That's
for start. For Michigan, yeah, they look great right now, but slow down. Who have they played?
They haven't played anyone, no doubt.
They've
been crushing whoever they've been playing.
They're
not messing around with Troy. You know,
I'm just saying that's why I'm not a fan of these preseason polls because.
Oh yeah, they're useless. They're useless.
You don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't.
Yeah, teams are different every
year.
single year.
Michigan looks great right now, and they started great, so now they're in the top 25 because they crushed 2 jokes of a programs.
They were pretty bad.
I mean, Hawaii, who was going on like
5 days rest.
5 days rest coming back from Australia to play a football game.
Yeah. Should have known that was an easy cover right there. 63-3.
Yeah.
Yeesh. That was a nasty, nasty beating. But a couple other teams moved up. Louisville now a top 10 squad and a Heisman Trophy candidate to boot. Lamar Jackson, I'd be remiss if I did not mention this kid. Overall, already 13 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards of total offense, just smoking teams. And again, not having really played anybody. You played Charlotte, who's maybe the worst offense in the country, and then you play Syracuse, who Jim told us a couple weeks ago that they weren't going to be good, and so that followed through very well, and they were able to just crush them in New York. Nonetheless, so but shout out to Louisville. I mean, they're in the top 10, and Wisconsin is at number 9 after beating Akron by a pretty sizable margin and covering easily.
Now, Wisconsin moved in the top 10 because of that win over LSU. Now it's kind of like, what is LSU?
Exactly. It's like it's too much overreaction. Like, how are you going to say they're unranked and then they're a top 10 team?
Exactly. And that's
ridiculous.
There's too much overreaction. And that's why I'm not sitting here saying Auburn's offense is back yet. Because I want to see consistency out of Gus Malzahn.
And I got to see it against a good defense.
And I want to see him do it against SEC defenses.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I mean, you can do that all day against Arkansas State. Now, it looked a whole lot better than it did last year against San Jose State and Jack State.
Right.
But what is there? Because if there's anything, Gus Malzahn's the most inconsistent coach in college football.
Yeah, that guy is up and down like a roller coaster. I didn't really like it much, but Texas also jumps into the top 15, almost top 10.
See, that's one that I think should be top 10.
And it's crazy. The AP jumps around like crazy. The coaches poll, they're not so quick to make moves, and I think people should really, if you don't look at the coaches poll and you only look at the AP, you're missing half the story because the coaches, they have some pretty good insight as to, maybe slow down some of these expectations and not overreact. But Tennessee gets back into the top 15 after dropping out, a good win over Virginia Tech. They won't move much after beating Miami of Ohio, but the Florida Gators a wait, and it's going to be a tough one. It is in Tennessee, though. Tennessee gets pretty much all their tough games, except for Texas A&M, at home. So
Well,
I feel like they have to pounce now.
They have to pounce now, and that game's 2 weeks away,
But
though.
Georgia, staying in the top, 16, they're 16th. What is that?
I don't agree with that.
You got to be kidding me. Nicholls State?
I think
People have been slaughtering them for years. That's like coming within a touchdown to Savannah State.
I think Texas is a top 10 program, and I don't think Georgia's a top 25 program.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia was not good at all. And, I mean, that was a terrible display. I'm sorry. That was embarrassing.
If you're going to play Easton, play Easton.
Yeah, I mean, the coaches poll had them at 13th.
Yeah,
Didn't drop them enough.
There's too many questions with that team. There's no playmakers on the outside.
Yeah.
They're going with the freshmen, but they're not going with the freshmen.
Right.
And
right.
it's like
until things get tough.
exactly.
Then you pull Lambert
go
out,
with Lambert.
dust him off a little bit.
Yeah, it's not good. Looking I don't know what you think about Georgia, man. It's just I think they're going to be good. They're going to have some great teams with Easton.
But some people have the opportunity to catch them early, and this is where you got to catch them.
Like,
that's why I thought North Carolina had a really good shot the other day.
Well, and they
blew it. Blew a 10-point lead in the third quarter.
They had a good chance, and to be honest with you, we're going to have a really good shot of losing our power if we don't go pay some bills. So we're going to cut to commercial break.
All right, let's do that.
And then we'll be back.
All right, everybody, stick around. Week 3 matchups coming up.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Carl Cannon Buick Cadillac GMC Chevrolet. My name is Joshua Salter, and would love to take this opportunity to show you the new 2016 Cadillac SRX. We've got some great promotions going on right now. Would love to help you get into a new car today. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 384-5561 or on my cell at 205-300-8364. Stop out and see us.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks, where everything on our trucks work. And the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 4th quarter of On the Sideline. Seth Hagen with you, Hunter Price over here. And let's get right to it. Week 3 matchups. SEC schedule starts in earnest this week. Can't wait to get you our picks. I mean, it's really time to buckle down and strap on that chin strap and hit somebody in the mouth. You know what I mean?
Let's start going through some picks. And we got 15 minutes. Anybody wants to call in?
Yep, give us your picks
Chit-chat,
if you want to.
Talk some smack. Let's go at it.
Yeah,
Who cares?
888-242-8517 is the number to call. Get it in right now. We are also broadcasting live on AlabamaCableNetwork.com, so shout out to those people and the people on our Facebook Live. Appreciate y'all. Keep those comments rolling. Already had a really nice interview with Paul Finebaum. These episodes will be put on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to that YouTube page as well. On the Sidelines, just type that in there with the channel filter. Boom, it's right there. You get every episode, and we're going to try to separate the Paul Finebaum interview so you guys can just watch that as well.
So are we going to make picks or are we going to sell the shirt?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
I'm getting caught up in the promo for show.
Forget the promo. Let's talk
All right.
football.
Alabama, Ole Miss. Alabama, a 10-point favorite. If that doesn't tell you that what's going to happen, like they're about to roll on them. I think they're going to roll on them.
I think they win, but I don't think they roll on them.
I think they cover this spread. Ole Miss, they just don't have the depth anymore
Well, I mean,
to deal with it.
you win by 10 points. I mean, that's not rolling on them.
No, it's not rolling on them, but on the road in the SEC against a top 20 opponent, you win by double digits. It's kind of rolling on them. I think they're going to win by a lot.
I think
more,
Alabama
personally.
wins, but they win single digits. So Alabama wins by 6.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Alabama by 17. I think they're going to just outlast Ole Miss, and then there's not going to have enough in the tank, just like the game against Florida State. All right. Auburn, Texas A&M. They get first of many ranked opponents. The second of many ranked opponents in Jordan-Hare. Auburn is a 4-point favorite.
Strange seeing Auburn is a 4-point favorite with A&M ranked 17th in the country.
And I think that tells you something right there. I think people in Vegas know something that maybe regular people don't. And I do think Auburn pulls it out. I don't know if they can cover, but I think they win by at least a field goal. I don't think this is a one-point game.
4.5, I think you're going to put your money on that they cover.
Yeah. And Daniel Carlson, I think, is going to be a huge factor in this one.
Oh, he's going to be huge. He had 21 points last week. Dude scored a touchdown.
It was awesome.
Don't you love it when kickers score touchdowns? The dude goes out there and just kicks field goals, extra points. Nobody cares about him. You know, he's just going around doing his thing, and then bam, touchdown. Well, I got Auburn in this one. I got Auburn winning by, I'm going to say Auburn wins by 10.
All right, okay. All right, Tennessee, Ohio, we know how that's going to go. Tennessee's favored by almost 4 touchdowns.
Tennessee by 21.
They should.
Here's an interesting.
They should win pretty easily.
Vander?
Vandy, Georgia Tech, yeah. How about that?
Georgia
Tech.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I would. Well, it's at Georgia Tech.
I don't care.
Whew, that's going to be tough. If Vanderbilt had beat South Carolina, I'd feel a lot better about this. And they also gave up a decent amount of points to MTSU. And it looks like we got a call. Somebody wants to call and talk about this game, maybe some other games. So, caller, you are on live with On the Sidelines. What you calling about, man? Let us know.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Wesley Dean, how we doing, buddy?
Doing well.
Winner of this week's hover helmet.
Yeah, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You actually tied, but you get your helmet.
I want to divert a little bit from the course. Nobody's talking about the Yankees.
Okay.
Nobody cares about the Yankees.
They should have been gone away. Why are they still trying?
The Yankees are 2 games out of the wild card and making moves in the division.
Only the Yankees.
This is the storyline we should be talking about.
No, I mean, you're right. They are on the move. They're, what is it, 2 games out? Is it of the division or of the wild card?
Wild card.
2 games out of the wild card, 3 out of the division.
They're not going to win the division.
No, they're 4th in the division, but still only 4 games out of the division with 20 games to play. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But it would be incredible. It would be incredible. But the AL East has been the premier division in the league for most of the year.
I don't know. I think West needs to get off this Yankee high horse.
Maybe. I'm enjoying my non-Yankee time in Major League Baseball now. I mean, come on. We had to deal with y'all for 15 straight years?
Long live the Empire.
Say what? What'd you say?
I said, long live the Empire, baby.
Long live the Empire? How did you become a Yankees fan, man?
The Yankees are here to stay.
He was converted by Count Dooku.
The Yankees aren't here to stay. You're crazy. No.
They're here to stay. They're definitely here to stay. If they're spending that money,
they're here to stay in 4th place in the East behind the Orioles.
2 games behind the Orioles. That ain't nothing.
All I'm going to say, guys, and I'll close with this.
All right.
Is when that young talent hits next year, baseball better watch out because the Yankees are going to be doing what the Cubs are doing this year.
It's true.
No, I mean, I'll give it to you now. No, I'll give it to you, Wes. The Yankees.
Hey,
they're not
and one more side note, guys, before I get off.
Yep.
I look forward to receiving my hover helmet that I won by nailing the Alabama score. That's right, 38-10. Guessed by yours truly.
Right on it.
Nailed it.
Hey, Wesley Dean.
38.
If you want to know how an Alabama game is going to go, you need to hit up our boy Wesley Dean.
All right, hey, let's see.
He'll probably show off the swirling helmet.
Let's see if you can do it again. What's the score of the Alabama Ole Miss game?
This week?
Yeah, Go ahead and nail it for us.
I'm gonna say 28-17. Tide rolls.
28-17.
Yep, double-digit win.
17.
That's the way I see it.
Cover the spread. I can see that happening. You might be going 2 for 2, buddy. And if you go 2 to 2, you cover it. You cover. Seth might not be happy with this, but if you pick this one right, Alabama Ole Miss, if you pick 2 in a row exactly right, well, you'll come in studio. You can come to the show with us.
Yeah, I'll take. Yeah, if you nail 2 in a row, oh my God.
I'll take that.
You need to go to Vegas.
I'll take that.
All right, cool.
All
Well,
right, guys,
appreciate you calling, man. Thank you.
Supper. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, buddy.
Right, thanks, man.
All right.
All right, if you want to call the show like Wes, well, there's not a whole lot of time, but you can always hit us up on the Sidelines Facebook page. Hit us up that way and find out how you can win a hover helmet just like Wes.
Find out how you can win a hover helmet just like Wes did, just like Jeffrey did. Had great picks this weekend.
We're going to find out new ways to try to get people involved in the contest and switch it up, keep it fresh. But let's see.
Houston.
Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, real quick. You said Vandy?
Vandy.
I'm going to say Georgia Tech by like 2. South Carolina, East Carolina. Not an easy win for South Carolina, even at home. They're only favored by 4, and that was an abysmal performance in Starkville with a golden opportunity to start 2-0.
East Carolina wins.
2-0. Really? That's the upset?
Yes, East Carolina.
It's looking bad.
The upset. East Carolina wins.
All right, Kentucky favored by 19 over New Mexico State. Do they get their first win?
Yes, they do.
All right. Thank God. Mississippi State at LSU.
Get them cowbells are ringing.
Well, it's at LSU, so it ain't going to be nothing but belching and alcohol, sweat, and bourbon everywhere.
I thought the game was actually at Mississippi State, but I remember last year it's not. But I want to pick LSU now, but, man, I just got this gut feeling Mississippi State beats them.
LSU has got to – they're awake. They've got to have figured it out. They're going to have Leonard Fournette back for this game. A lot of people don't know he didn't play against Jacksonville State.
I know he didn't. And Jacksonville State beat them on the stat line just about every category.
Yep.
But no, I'm going to take the upset. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Yep.
They're going to fire Les Miles inside of September. I swear to God. All right.
Mississippi State.
Florida's going to smack North Texas in the mouth. Arkansas is going to do the same thing against Texas State. Georgia, Missouri. This is a very iffy game. Georgia favored by just under a touchdown, but it's at Missouri.
I'm always taking Tigers over dogs.
Oh.
Dude, you know what? It might be a dumb pick, but it's just a gut feeling. I get a lot.
I don't think it's dumb. I think it's smart.
I get a lot of these crazy upsets right.
If you're going to catch Georgia, you're going to catch them now.
I mean, is there any?
And Jacob Eason, first game on the road in the SEC.
I mean, is there anybody you know that picks more upsets?
No.
Than me?
No, you are Mr. Upset.
And I don't even know how to do it. But I mean, I'm taking Missouri to beat Georgia. I'm taking Mississippi State to beat LSU, and I'm taking East Carolina to beat South Carolina.
Biggest game, bar none of the weekend. Florida State at Louisville. Florida State favored just under a field goal. I think that says a lot, and I think Louisville takes the win.
Nope, I don't like Florida State wins this one.
Okay.
Yep, 11 a.m. Fans aren't going to be ready. That's what you want. If you're an away team, you want to get in there, you want to get it over with, and I think Florida State wins.
All right.
I will be watching.
So they're going to put the brakes on the Lamar Jackson Heisman train.
Watch out for Houston at Cincinnati. That can be a very scary game. Houston
Thursday night. You never count Tubbs out. You don't count Tubbs out.
You don't
do it.
You don't count Tubbs out, and it's a Thursday night. That's upset night, and it's Houston at Cincinnati. Watch out for that game. It can be a dangerous one.
All right, last one. Michigan State at Notre Dame. 12 versus 18. I think Notre Dame gets this one.
Notre Dame.
And they're favored by 8.
Notre Dame.
It says a lot. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, we will be replayed tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and on Thursday morning at 8. Thanks for joining us. Make sure that you hit us up on Facebook, On the Sidelines, Seth Hagen, Hunter Price. Hunter, take us out.
Guys, y'all have a good week. Use the game. Don't let the game use you.
Later, everybody.